All right. And so again, as usual, this call will be available in French. There is a globe at the bottom of your screen you can use to switch from different channels. Let me know if there's any problem in getting access. I'll repeat that in French. Bonjour, bonjour et bon après-midi à tous et à toutes. Comme d'habitude, cet appel est traduit en français. Vous pouvez avoir accès à l'interprétation française en bas de votre écran en cliquant sur le globe. Merci beaucoup et n'hésitez pas à nous faire savoir si vous avez un problème avec l'interprétation. Thank you all for joining us. Today we're going to be touching on a few topics. We're first going to have an update from our partners with GFAN Asia Pacific. They are launching a new video and will be telling us about a number of initiatives they're taking with regard to the private sector in Indonesia in particular. Then we'll hear an update from our colleagues from the UK, who just had a new Prime Minister, and so we're looking forward to hear what are their thoughts with regard to how will that translate into replenishment money. And finally, I will be giving all of you here an update on the latest developments in pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, PPPR, in particular for pandemic treaty, for the new fifth coming up as the first governance meeting of the fifth is taking place this week. So we'll just try to make sure that we're all up to speed on the latest developments on that front. And without further ado, I will give the floor to our colleagues with GFAN Asia Pacific to present the new video.
Thanks, Quentin. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Quentin. I'll need access. I have it right for sharing. Okay, thank you. So in the interest of time, thank you for joining us. We're going to be launching a video that we've just created as the last mile towards the seventh replenishment. We stopped calling it the last push or the second push or the final push because we're not giving birth. So moving very quickly. So this is just an overview of the main things that we've been working on this year so far. We've launched our campaign in December. We had our Global Week of Action in March. The India investment case was launched in April this year. There were various activities happening in June, showing the Global Week of Action video, various activities in Jakarta, including the Dutch Embassy event, as well as the Australian High Commission Embassy event in Singapore. Moving on to July, we had a meeting on replenishment in India and another event that was taking place in New Delhi, hosted by the US Embassy. We've just had several events in August, including a civil society event, which I had neglected to include inside the slide, but we also had one in Jakarta this month, last month, on top of the meeting that we just had in Seoul, which was focused around the G20 and vaccine access, but also highlighted the importance of the Global Fund in the global health architecture, and a recent event that was hosted by the Swedish and the US Embassy in Hanoi. So we're moving towards September with last mile efforts, which I'll elaborate a little bit more upon in the next slides. But before I do that, I will just showcase a couple of activities and work from our partners. This is from Africa-Japan Forum, where they handed the letters that was prepared to the various ministers and ministries. We also have our South Korean colleagues that had their the letter that was prepared for the president published in 2 major papers in South Korea, as well as the meeting that was just held around vaccine access and global health. We have also our colleagues working with civil society and partners in Jakarta, along with the embassy event that was held earlier on this year. We also have the recent embassy event hosted by the 2 embassies, 2 countries in Hanoi, which went on very well. If you would like if you would be interested, please go on to Twitter and also repost or retweet some of the messages. Some of this work is what happened in India as well. We had the India investment case launch. There were various visits that were happening by our India working group partners to various embassies across in New Delhi in the last couple of weeks. So we have a couple of statements that we prepared, including for the United States, the Republic of Korea, United Kingdom, Japan, Indonesia. And I think I might be going a little bit too fast for the translator. So I'll slow down a little bit more. In the pipeline, we do have letters that will be sent by the end of tomorrow or today to Singapore, India. And we're finalizing the letter that we would be having for all the efforts towards the private sector. But more specifically, Indonesia actually over the last 2 days, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, will be sending out letters to 23 or 26 private sector and foundation partners in the call for them to also step up to join the government of Indonesia in pledging for the 7th replenishment. A rallying call also for anybody that's under the age of 30, that means 29 and below, to please sign on to this letter that is for youth everywhere. Niluka or Anu, please do share the link to this, to the site here. We're hoping that we do get enough signatories, and we will be actually asking some of our youth speakers that will be speaking at various side events or events during the pledging conference to speak to the call for donors to step up and put the money where their mouth is. Without further ado, I will then move to the video that we are sharing for the last mile. Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted because I'm screen sharing and I keep seeing people admitting to the room. So give me a second while I figure out how this works. I can't see whether people can see this, so I'm going to assume that people can, and I'm going to start the video now.
COVID-19 continues to adversely impact all of us. the world and our communities continues to face inequitable access to COVID-19 countermeasures, especially the key populations and the vulnerable populations, including men who have sex with men, transgender people, sex workers, people who inject drug use, young people, migrant people, prisoners, indigenous peoples, internally displaced population, women and girls, and the poor people. I must tell you, we cannot be left behind.
The Global Fund partnership has proven over the past 20 years that the deadliest diseases can be beaten, that lives can be saved, and that HIV, TB, and malaria are not the responsibilities of the future generations. Increased investment in the Global Fund will ensure the continued delivery of vital HIV, TB, and malaria health services for those in need, build sustainable and resilient systems for health, strengthen community systems, and prepare for future pandemics.
The Global Fund partnership has saved 44 million lives since its creation. Investing in global health is critical to keep communities safe from infectious diseases and fight new threats. Diseases know no borders. COVID-19, past and present epidemics have taught us that solidarity in global health security is critical to keep the world safe. HIV, TB, and malaria still kill 2.7 million people every year. We have to meet the target set for HIV, TB, and malaria by 2030 so as to avoid losing more lives.
The United States has committed up to $6 billion for the Global Fund, and to match $1 for every US dollar contributed by other donors. Not raising at least $18 billion means leaving money on the table. Public donors, the private sector, and private foundations cannot take a backseat here. Healthy lives equate to a healthy economy. But most importantly, world leaders need to put their money where their mouth is to fulfill their commitments to achieve universal health coverage. The Global Fund is a vehicle to do so.
The Global Fund Strategy 2023 to 2028 emphasizes on maximizing health equity, gender equality, and human rights. Investing in the Global Fund will support low and middle income countries to build resilient and sustainable systems for health that are people-centered. Investing in the Global Fund will strengthen community systems and support countries in achieving the highest attainable standards of physical and mental health for all.
Okay, I still have one final request. Can I ask Anu or Niluka to please put the link for the sign on that we have created so that people can get onto that page while we're on the call together? So I'm going to share the screen because this plugin, which is still being finalized, will be taking a little bit of extra time to actually finalize. So let me just share screen again. Sorry, I'm a little bit busy at this point. I see a couple of messages in the chat and I'll come back to them very shortly while I figure out share screen. So if you come to this page, you will see that we will have a sign on to support by folding. Originally, we had wanted you to be able to receive your email by email, the final origami elephant or crane. But given the circumstances that we have, we don't necessarily have the time to do that. And given that we're just less than 20 days to replenishment, we decided to just launch it and hope that people can do their own screenshots and the recording where necessary. The instructions for both Mac and Windows PC are available on this page as well. So if you come to this page, you will see that you get a choice to choose between a crane or an elephant to fold the origami. And you will receive the final product at the end of this video of the plugin. I will not go on and on about it, so I'll let you guys go onto the page which Niluka has shared in the chat to do your origami crane or elephant. So hopefully we'll be able to have as many of these as possible, and we can also approach some of our speakers to actually talk about how many signatories that we've collected. I will now then, Quentin, address some of the messages that I got on the chat. So just going to a message from James around the UK statement that was as part of the efforts around CHOGM. So it's already been sent as part of CHOGM. If you think that there's another letter that needs to be sent for the UK, please do let me know, and we'll get back to you very short. We'll try to do that in the next couple of days. We will be launching the video also over Twitter, social media, and we hope that you can share this as broadly as possible and tag all the relevant heads of states that have not pledged or have not pledged the 30% needed with as part of the social media efforts. So we're hoping that this will continue over the next few weeks. Tomorrow, we're also working with GCTA, which is the Global Coalition for TB Activists, to launch a series of social media campaigns on TB-specific messaging that will last for the next 20 days with one message a day, specifically about how global leaders need to step up their funding to the Global Fund for TB. So this is where we are at this point, and happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Actually, while people are thinking of a question, Rachel, where can we get the video? Is it already online?
We will be sharing this very shortly online. We wanted to show it to people first before we started sharing it. So we will be sharing it very shortly in the next 2 hours. Given the internet connectivity that we're facing, we'll be uploading this very shortly on Facebook as well as on our website, as well as on Twitter.
Amazing. And second question, are you going to make social media clip, or do you prefer people to share the whole video or to clip themselves?
It's up to people how they want it. We could, I think it'll be, I think it'll be helpful for people to choose or clip where they want the videos to be. Yeah.
Amazing. Do we have anyone else in the room with any questions or remarks or ideas on how to best use any of the tools?
While I'm waiting for comments, I would actually just beg everybody. I know that there are many campaigns going on. There are many things, different things going on. They are not mutually exclusive. Please do your part by spreading the word with everyone and joining in as collectively as possible.
As we know it, not just for COVID.
Oh. I have to say, I'm a bit distracted because I'm halfway through my elephant and it's taking a lot longer than I was expecting.
Sorry.
I was like, oh, let's open it while everyone is on the call. Then yeah, it turns out it's perhaps not the best idea actually. All right, so I think everyone has just loved the video and doesn't have any comments or it's just already, or everyone is halfway through the elephant as well. Rachel, sorry, Masiko, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want to agree with the previous speaker on the video. The video is so exciting. Give us where we're coming from. Looking that this replenishment will be the most difficult one. looking at the Ukraine and other natural disasters and others. I think we can, as we're doing our messaging, the video could be one of those comparing the previous replenishment efforts and looking at the current one, which can be a bit tricky. I'm hoping sharing the video to all of us. My comment will be very good, and I'm happy that you're going to share it so that we can use the remaining days, making sure that our countries commit to the refreshment. It will be exciting to have the video as part of the campaign. Thank you.
Amazing, thanks a lot, Masiko. And yes, I agree. It's a very dynamic video. I'm happy because it's very late here. Really woke me up to when he was playing, which is really good. Do we have anyone else in the room? Go ahead, Yves.
Hi everyone, my name is Ives. I'm from United for Global Mental Health. I also just recently joined, but I'm overseeing actually the Global Fund work. So we're happy to share that we're also coming up with a communications toolkit in integrating mental health across these different services, and really look forward to sharing these across these network. And if you can also share in time for the 7th replenishment. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot for the heads up. Go ahead, Sam.
Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. Rachel, thank you so much for the video. As you know, in GFAN Africa, we are having the Regional Week of Action, and we are happy to play the video as part of it.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Sam. Well, I think unless people have any other questions or comments, we'll be moving on with the agenda. Rachel, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Could you expand a little bit about that question? Because I'm not sure how much detail I can go into, given that this is a recorded call and will be played online.
All right, so then that's all right. That's all you need to know.
So maybe just in summary, what we are trying to do is that we're asking the government of Indonesia to match the pledge to the Global Fund as they did the Financial Intermediary Fund for Pandemic Prevention, Preparedness and Response of $50 million. The efforts that we're working with led by our partners in India, with the India Working Group for Health, India Working Group for Health Advocacy, is asking India government to pledge at least $100 million. We've approached the president of Vietnam, led by our partners, by our partner in Vietnam, SEDI, to get the president as a champion for the Global Fund, and hopefully it might lead to something. So is where we are at this point in terms of the numbers that we expect. We of course would expect the usual donors or contributors or partners like Thailand, China, to come in. So we do understand that there are ongoing conversations with the recent visit by Lady Ross and Peter Sands to Australia and New Zealand. And again, thank you so much to our Japanese colleagues for all the great work that you did in getting almost 30% from Japan.
All right, thanks a lot, Rachel, and congrats again on the video. It's amazing, and thanks for the update on Indonesia. I think it's good to know, and we if you need any help getting signatures on anything, just let us know.
Maybe just something to say is that the government of Indonesia is prepared to pledge between 20 to 30, and the private sector will be the one stepping in for the remaining up to 50 or 40 or 30. So we're not very sure about where that range might be, which is why our colleagues in Indonesia had sent the letter to private sector specifically in these few days, targeting them to also join in at this point.
Noted. Thanks a lot. All right. Well, yeah, fingers crossed on Indonesia. Let's move on with our agenda. I will share my screen again. Give me a second. And just as we get into an update from the UK, I do want to take a second because I see some of them on the call congratulate all of our colleagues from Japan, who it was the pledge from Japan that came through, was really the first good news we've had in some time during this whole period. So it's a lot of pressure put on the UK to make it 30%. And on this, I want to give the floor to James for a bit of an update on the latest political development in the UK, what they think they might mean for the pledge, and how we can help to make it happen. Go ahead.
Great, thank you, Quentin, and thank you for coming to me a bit later in the call because I had just time to finish my elephant as well too, which I've submitted. And brilliant seeing all great updates from GFAN AP, and well done, Rachel, and all colleagues involved with the brilliant video. I'm afraid my update would be a little less interesting and exciting, as I've no video or no crane to be made. But as of 1 hour now, the UK has a new Prime Minister. So Liz Truss, our former Foreign Secretary. So Quentin asked gave a few updates on how this could impact the UK campaign going forwards. She was the strong favourite, so it's not coming as a surprise for us. And I think there is some advantages and challenges that comes with her being announced as PM. Some of the advantages, of course, that follows and some welcome commitments that she made for the past year as Foreign Secretary, and the engagement that UK CSOs have had with her on the global funds. This includes recent commitments in the recently published International Development Strategy to continue leading support to Ukraine, leading support for women and girls to ensure they have the freedom to succeed, and also to take forward UK leadership in global health as well too. And some commentators suggest that Liz Truss could be more amenable to pressure from the US as well too, compared to Boris Johnson. So again, it kind of hits home the point that hopefully pressure from the administration and Biden in the last couple of weeks we have may come to fruition and help increase the level of a UK pledge. But of course, there are still big challenges that we're facing in the UK for this replenishment campaign. The big one, of course, is the cut from ODA from 0.7 to 0.5, which Liz Truss said during the leadership election that she wants to keep the same. And also there's the unanswered question about the cost of the Ukrainian refugee resettlement program in the UK, with some analysis suggesting this could cost up to £3 billion, and the government wants to include this within the 0.5% spending on aid spending, which would represent potentially up to a quarter of our aid budget. So we're limiting the physical space that we have. But UK allies are still advocating for how this cost should be additional, and of course doing as much as we can to increase the level of a UK pledge. We haven't had details as yet of the new Foreign Secretary or the new ministers as yet, but all analysis suggests it's likely to be James Cleverly to be the Foreign Secretary, who is a former FCDO minister that did at the time have responsibility for the last year on the UK's international development strategy, and also points around ODA allocation. So again, some relevance and some prior support for the Global Fund that hopefully we can build on in the final couple of weeks. And there's quite a lot planned. I won't go into all of this now, but the UK CSO Working Group and UK allies have a lot planned for the last couple of weeks. We're really grateful for continued collaboration with GFAN members, particularly with our allies in the US, with Friends US, and the great work they're doing to get administration peer pressure, and also getting other US voices to target the UK. And we're beginning now our concerted 2 weeks of actions. That's from campaign actions, including colleagues like Jake on the call now being down at Liz Truss's local constituency for a campaign starting yesterday, engaging with national and local media. We're taking forward more actions from influential figures, so working with Malone and More One campaign and others. We have a letter coming out this week from leading British voices, from Sir Andy Murray, the tennis player, all the way to Jeremy Farrar, other leader of the Wellcome Trust. It's been published in the Times, working in a few high-level political events. So I've been pleased to collaborate with the Global Fund Secretariat and the Commonwealth Secretariat for an event at South Africa House this Thursday. And on Monday, we're doing a parliamentary event with Peter Sands and community activists, including Yana Panova from Ukraine, Teenagizer. And we have all the campaign actions planned, and media actions planned around the results report being published on Monday, and all the interventions from Conservative parliamentarians, and really pleased to work with Ukrainian CSOs on a letter being published next week to the new PM that's been signed by over 100 Ukrainian CSOs, and hopefully get some media around that following on from the reception and the news about the results report as well. So maybe I'll stop there. Happy to take any questions on that, our plans for the next couple of weeks or around political context. But I see several of my UK colleagues are also on the call now as well too. So really grateful for their thoughts and further updates as well.
I was just quickly going to jump in. Thanks, James. We will be updating that live saved tool using the results report. If anyone does have friends, family, colleagues, or anyone in the UK, we will send that around the GFAN mailing list and to pass it on, because it will enable them to tweet their MP, who in turn will hopefully tag the foreign secretary. So we'll definitely get that round. But if you know of anyone in the UK, that's the thing to watch out for following the new results report.
Great, thanks, Jake. And more broadly, this should hopefully be something more media articles and campaign actions online as well too. So more broadly, please do share the actions coming out from UK colleagues. And just to say again, following the last meeting we had where I raised this, over the next few days, it's likely that respective foreign secretaries and government heads of states will be having phone calls with Liz Truss and others from the UK government. So if you think any of your governments would be amenable to raising points around the Global Fund on these calls, I'm happy to send you a few briefing points for this. And it's great that we think that it should be in President Biden's talking points to Liz Truss as well, but it'd be great to think about other implementing and donor countries who might be willing to do the same when they have calls over the next couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot, James. This is look at the list of action plans. It's quite exciting, quite inspiring that you were able to be so ready for the announcement. Do we have any UK colleague on the call who want to jump in with any additional comments? I will take that as James did a very good job, and there's nothing to add. Don't hesitate to jump in. I did want to, and I see that there's a few colleagues from the Global Fund Secretariat, because James, you mentioned the results report. The results report was meant to be launched this week, and our understanding now is that it is going to be a bit delayed, so that it will only come out at some point next week. And I see. Yeah, so and I see Pauline jumping in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, don't know if the camera is working, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
All good. Yes, indeed, we had hope that would be ready for the 7th, and that is not the case. We're now looking hopefully at the 12th of September, and more detail to be followed when we can share. But that's our objective.
Thanks a lot, Pauline. No, because we had a few questions from people ahead of the call as well, wondering about results reports. So it's between that we have a date, even if it's a bit later than expected. Any questions on our colleagues from the UK? I see that Jake has shared a number of links in the chat. Hi Ross, the results is planned to come out on the 12th. So I'm just seeing the question on in the chat. I see, Jake, you've shared a number of links. Is there to be confirmed? Is there anything else we can help you with? I think it's important that everyone on the call really jump in, click those links, ensure to share them and amplify. Anything else that the broader community can help you with?
Thanks, Quentin. Nothing right now. We will have a couple of media items coming out in the coming week or so, and we'll also have social media around the event on the 12th and on the 8th, this coming in 2 days' time. So do be following us. I'll put some handles of the working group. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the UK working group, but I'll put some of their handles actually in the chat, and that's a good starting point. So you'll be able to see it in real time. And yeah, we will share something more direct around those articles. We've got an interview with the Telegraph with Yana, the Ukrainian activist, and we're hoping to get some broadcast with her as well. So yeah, more to come, but please do keep amplifying. And we're also just very grateful to everyone for all their work they've done on the UK across the whole replenishment. And we understand the fact that we are quite a high risk pledge. So we do appreciate the final push right now as well. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jake. Thanks a lot, James, for the update. If there's no questions from anyone in the room, no comments, I think we can move on with the agenda. Thanks to UK colleagues for jumping in. I will just bring back once again my screen. Oh. So as you know, we're all very worried about the upcoming replenishment, as you know, you're very aware, and I know especially our colleagues from the Secretariat. There's 2 weeks up until left before replenishment. But there's another upcoming event that we wanted to discuss, and more generally a theme we wanted to get a chance to brief all of you on. So as you know, over the past year and a half, Pandemic Prevention, Preparedness and Response (PPPR) has been a growing topic of interest and initiatives. There's been a number of them that have been launched. Just to go over some of the main ones, they're all on their different timelines, so can be a bit tricky at times to sort of follow which ones are happening when. But first one is the Pandemic Treaty that will come into that. I think the timeline for this is 4 years. It's managed through the WHO. It's more of a long-term initiative. But the first consultations are already taking place. There's the PPPR 5th Financial Intermediary Fund, which is a new fund that is being hosted by the WHO and hosted by the World Bank with the WHO as secretariat. That this it's been announced officially, I think, in June. What's key to understand about PPPR is that the PPPR 5th, so that's that fund, is that it's coming very quickly. So it's been announced at the beginning of the summer. The first governance meeting is taking place this week on Thursday and Friday. So I'll quickly come back to that. But another announcement that has been made recently, and I think Courtney will perhaps jump in after I cover some of this to give us a few more details if she has them. But the UN General Assembly has just voted. I just made an announcement that there will be a high-level meeting on pandemic preparedness, pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response next year. So that's also I don't think we know a lot more about it, but that's one of the things that is one of the other initiatives that has been taken. So I'm popping in the chat a number of resources, and we'll mostly be talking about the PPPR 5th for the rest of the call. But I also want to stress the question of the upcoming consultation on the pandemic treaty by the WHO. One of the links in the chat is for recording a short presentation. It's open from the 9th to the 13th. That's how this consultation on the pandemic treaty will take place. So you have to record it. It's up to 90 seconds. It's not great because that means that the actual consultation will just be these videos playing. So we won't get a chance to really ask questions live or anything like that at this stage. We said it's there. So I think it's important to take that initiative. So to use that opportunity. So if it's of an interest to you, do click the last link in the chat and go have a look at how to set yourself up to record that video. Now coming back to the Financial Intermediary Fund, the 5th. So there was an announcement last week that the board of the new fund will include 2 seats for civil society representatives. That is 2 seats out of either somewhere between 20 and 24 total seats. It's still not completely clear how many seats there will be in total. So we will not be like, civil society won't be a huge voting bloc, but it's better than nothing. And when it comes to pandemic preparedness, a lot of the conversations completely exclude civil society and communities. So it's particularly important that we do take every opportunity we have to enter these spaces. So those 2 seats that have been announced last week will need to be filled for the first governance meeting. This first governance meeting for the PPPR 5th is taking place on Thursday and Friday this week. So it's an extremely compressed timeline. And so the process has been set up with Pandemic Action Network, working with a number of civil society representatives, including the civil society representative at the ACTE. So selection process has been put in place, and there should be an announcement for nomination extremely shortly, tomorrow, because by Thursday, the chosen interim representative will have to be part of attending the governance meeting. So the governance meeting is taking place at the end of this week. The first RFPs will be coming out by the end of the year. So again, it's going to be a very short timeline, and one of the challenge posed by how quickly things are moving with regard to pandemic preparedness is that currently we're having a lot of conversations about process, about how to best how to ensure that civil society and community voices are present at the board level, are present in the technical advisory panel, technical advisory group, etc., etc. What kind of how the delegations should be organized. All of these are extremely important, and they're crucial decisions that will be taken in the next few weeks. And we need to make sure that we have access to these spaces and that we are included. But what is also true is that very quickly, as these decisions are being taken, then decisions are going to be taken on the substance and the priorities of the 5th, because the money will have to be spent, will have to be allocated by the end of the year, if my understanding is correct. And Courtney, jump in if I'm wrong about that. And so the call for proposal will come out very quickly. What that means is that we need to be ready when these conversations come up to, as civil society and community, be focused and be able to contribute to the conversation and push for for specific points. We can't afford to be, I think it's a danger to try to be too general. And it's challenging because we've been working on all of us have been working in health advocacy for a long time. And this is, for a lot of us, a new topic. And even if we have worked on some segment of pandemic prevention or pandemic preparedness or response, as an overall topic covering all 3 of them, there really is a need to figure out what is the best way to approach it. And a lot of us haven't worked on this before, and we'll have to get good at this very quickly. So I've shared a link in the chat for a form to fill if you have any interest in joining future conversations around PPPR. We still haven't set up any sort of process, but we know that in the next few weeks and months, as the new interim representatives to the board are going to be to take their new functions, we will be holding a series of conversations on what kind of priorities we want to push for the 5th. And so we want to be sure to know who are the people that we should reach out to, that are members of civil society, that are members of communities, that have an interest in pandemic preparedness and response. And so add up your name to the form, and we'll reach out to you in due time once we have a sense of how to best structure this conversation. I'll go on, but first, Mark, do you want to add something?
Sure. I just wanted to say that Friends US and a subset of our colleagues with GFAN Asia Pacific, in particular UAN, Kuwait, and Vietnam, have received a modest amount of funding from the Open Society Foundation to work in this area. So hopefully we can be a resource to you all for us to have a voice about the needs of the marginalized, the voice and vote of civil society, what pandemic preparedness looks like with a human rights lens. As usual, we want to work in collaboration, but we intend to have a work stream on this and be helpful.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
We hope to host some consultations together with people of the whole world in low and middle income countries about their input to this emerging tool.
No, thanks. It's good to know that there is some funding that has been made available on these questions, because I think it is going to be a challenge, and will require resources for us to get good at this. I really want to pull out a call to everyone on this call, especially people that are working directly in countries on the ground. I think these are perspectives that so far we're missing when it comes to pandemic preparedness, because a lot of the conversations have been around governance, have been very technical and have to do with global strategy. It's tended to bring together a certain kind of advocates, which is great, but we do need more. We need more diverse voices, and so this is why we're putting out that call for email addresses of interested people. To make sure that we know who to reach out to when we want to have these conversations. If you want to start, as we're getting into because this timeline is very compressed, as we're getting into this conversation, it's important that it's important to catch up with what has been happening, what conversations have already taken place. So some of the resources I've shared in the chat, that's on the top of my message, have to do with where you can find useful resources to get a sense of what has been happening. The first one is from Pandemic Action Network. They have a whole resource hub. Among other things, they have accounts of the recent consultations that from with members of the Interim Secretariat. They have that's where we held the call for nomination for the civil society representatives, and I expect this is where we will be announcing when the new representatives are going to be nominated. And generally they just have kept everything very well updated. So for any, if you want a sense of where things are at when it comes to that new fifth, this is where you can find this information. If you want to get a chance to look perhaps a bit more in depth into some of the civil society input to that whole process, you can go on our website. We have a resource hub on PPPPR. Might be one too many P's in there. So we've gathered a number of material since over the past few months. Some of it is quite technical, some of it isn't. There's a few opinion pieces in there as well, so it's really good. Quickly going through the page, get you a chance to get access to, I think, useful resource to get yourself up to speed. And finally, a first attempt that GFAN took to get a sense of what pandemic preparedness with that's people-centered, that has a gender and human rights lens looks like. We've published a blog on our website. It's something we've worked on quickly because we wanted to have it out early enough that it could be a start of a conversation. So it's not meant to be an exact program, but very much just to be the beginning. Thanks, Smith, for changing some resources. Sorry, this is for later. I see two hands raised. Mark, is your hand residual, or do you want to add something now? It's residual. All right, Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe this is not very much in line with the Global Fund, but I'm interested to know if you could be having, or anyone could be having, this information. One is there are 2 seats for civil societies, and it doesn't specify whether we will share it out with communities or is civil society only. That means the competition or fair distribution. I think that probably the civil society has not has left it open. And that does not ring fence any community's representation. The other question is, does anybody know if the PP RFIF, how does it get along with the Civil Society Commission, which was also, we were fighting for to be established and have a voice at the table?
So Peter, I can answer you on the seats. So 2 seats will be available for civil society. There's no seat that there was no particular decision taken with regard to how I was going to be splitting with community. We agree that to be completely transparent, we've been arguing for 3 seats, not 2, precisely to avoid that kind of tension, and because we've been thinking of a global fund as a model when it comes to the governance structure. I think the way that the selection committee has been approaching the attribution of the 2 seats has been less to think in terms of representative community of civil society, but to place criteria in terms of the kind of experience that the representative will have. In particular, one of the representatives has to be from, I think, a country that has been implementing. One from an implementing country, one from a donor country, I think is my understanding. But Courtney, perhaps jump in and correct me if I'm wrong.
Thanks, Quentin. No, I think that, as you said, it's been sort of geographical focus, I think, in the call for nominations that went out. But I did want to, also highlight, as you've done, Quentin, that was one of our key asks, that it actually followed more the kind of global fund model, and that there was sort of NGO and community seats, and that there were 3 seats rather than 2. But we heard it was very much obviously a stretch to get the 2 seats, and that actually there probably wouldn't be so much space for the 3rd seat. But yeah, I think that call for nominations, obviously it has closed, but I'll pop a link into the chat just that has the selection criteria that the panel are using at the minute to select those representatives. Maybe just whilst I'm speaking to that process, I just wanted to add as well that the process that's ongoing now to identify the 2 reps, there is a process also to identify alternate reps, and these representatives will be interim representatives to the board. So obviously it has moved very, very quickly, as Quentin said. And so the current time frame is that around sort of March, April time, there will be a sort of updated process to identify I guess full-term or longer-term representatives, or kind of the way we do with other agencies where there's a sort of time frame for those roles. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that this is very much the interim process, and then I think the longer-term term of representatives will be established when we've got a little bit more space to work that all out. Thanks.
Yes, thanks a lot, Courtney. Sorry, it's definitely something that I should have highlighted, is that this is a rush process, not a rush process because we want it that way. It's been a rush process because there's just been no time, right? And the problem is that if we don't take action quickly, that means that the seats are going to be empty when it comes, like the day after tomorrow when the governance meeting takes place. So it's been important to move quickly. And it's been similar with the consultations that have been taking place over the past few weeks. They've been announced a couple of days before they took place, and so there was not as much coordination and preparation that there should have been, just because there was no time to organize it. So it's all been some amount of frustrating. To answer your question, Peter, about how the new fifth gets along with communities. Well, I think the problem is that it involves the new fund is at the center of the new fund are 2 entities, WHO and the World Bank, that both have, in different ways. The World Bank does not generally allow for engagement with civil society community, or really anyone that's a technical expert. So that's one side. So it's been challenging to work and chat with them, because I think that's just not how they used to do things. With the WHO, the challenges are a bit different. It's a very rigid structure, which means that they tend to give a lot of weight to technical experts, and that has been that's been a challenge. In particular, there has been a suggestion that the technical experts that were going to be part of the fifth structure were going to be taken out of the So I'm forgetting the name of that roster that's managed by the WHO, but it doesn't involve a lot of people from the it doesn't involve a lot of people from civil society and communities, and that's been a challenge. So because it's relying a lot on WHO structures, it tends to be very technical and very medicalized, which is a challenge when it comes to our engagement. So it's improving, but we're not exactly there yet. Any questions from the room? I think it would be again, we have I'm going to repost that link, but if it's a topic that's of interest, please do let us know. We know that it's we all want to be talking about the replenishment, and of course we've been all focusing on this almost entirely for the past year or so. But this is happening at the same time. It's also important, and we have a fairly narrow window to make an impact and to make sure that this starts on the right foot rather than with us outside of it. So if you have any questions, any comments, raise your hand, jump in. If you have any interest, please click the link, and we'll be in touch. And I'll pass on the link to the list to Mark as well, so that when organizing consultations, they know who to reach out to. Go ahead, Nit.
I just wanted to raise the issue that for the PPR, there is also these other opportunities when at European level, where the global health strategy is being discussed, and I think that's where also some of these remarks should and could get some echo. That's all that I wanted to say, and I think I just want to agree and say that this is a really important topic for civil society to contribute to and to try to influence this.
Thanks a lot, Mit. And Mit, can you tell me, is the window? Can you still comment on the global health strategy, the EU global health strategy, or is the deadline already passed?
I think it's closed. There was this survey, but there is then also opportunities to share. Well, I think some of you might know better than me exactly where it's how about the timing and the timeline of that.
No, thanks a lot. I think Tarita has popped the link in the chat. So Tarita has just shared the link. You can actually contribute to that global health strategy. It's until the 19th of September. Excellent. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Tarita. It's not the easiest process to register for it. So do put aside 5 or 10 minutes in your day before going through a questionnaire, because it's not the easiest. It takes a minute. Andre, I see that you've popped a number of resources in the chat. Do you want to take the floor for a second to just repeat out loud point out, give a shout out to some of the resources you've put in?
Hi, yeah, sorry for joining late. I was also on another call. Yeah, just again on support and replenishment. There are a few things. One is we are planning like a flash mob action in Brussels to support replenishment by EU. We already sent a letter to Ursula von der Leyen on behalf of 108 Ukrainian organizations asking to support the Global Fund. And there will be action also there. So some organizations located nearby or in the Netherlands and Brussels already joined, like AIDS Funds or ATG. So I sent information, and you can connect me anytime for further details. And also we are producing as a Global Fund also short videos. I put one of the example on the chart. Please have a look. So it's also Voice from Ukraine supporting Global Fund to be fully funded. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andre. And so on this, we're on the hour. We're running a bit late. I just want to very quickly ask you all to please take a second to sign up to our open letter to thank Japan for the pledge. We spend a lot of time shouting at government representatives and ask them to give more. it's important when they do to tell them that they did a great job and they were very happy. So we prepared a letter. There'll be a long, there'll be after the replenishment another thank you campaign that you'll hear plenty about. But in the meantime, we wanted to make sure that they hear from us as quickly as possible. So we're leaving this this letter to be open for another couple of days, but we hope to send it to government representatives in Japan by the end of the week. So please take a second to click the link and sign on to the letter. And with this, unless anyone wants to jump in, I want to thank you all for joining us and wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, good night for some of us. And take care, and we'll see all of you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.